Well, good evening and welcome to Tiger Talk. We're on to Hull and Back podcast and on Humberwave Radio. Good to have you tuned in tonight. New Year's Eve as you'll be watching it. I must admit, we can't lie. We're recording this the day before New Year's Eve because we've all got busy social lives. Well, maybe we haven't, but we're pretending that we have more than anything. I've got to say thank you to the carmusgo.co.uk for sponsoring this episode and all of our Wednesday episodes. And if you want to know a little bit more about them, here you are.
Looking to buy or sell your next car or van? At thecarmusgo.co.uk, we make it easy. We are proud to be your trusted local Hull business with 5-star Google reviews from happy customers across East Yorkshire. We buy and sell quality cars and vans, all with a full mechanical check, MOT and warranty included. So call in and see us today at Rugby Street in Hull, or visit us online at thecarmusgo.co.uk. We buy, we sell cars and vans.
Yes, if you're looking to sell or buy a car or van, then the carmusgo.co.uk can certainly help you out with that. Good evening to you, James.
Good evening, Adey. Good evening, everyone.
Evening to you, Chris.
Good evening.
Evening to you, Jan.
Evening, all.
And evening to you, Paul.
Good evening, everybody.
Good to be here tonight, and after a good win, as we're talking, it was last night, but obviously if you're watching us, it was 2 nights ago against Middlesbrough. We'll start off with Sheffield Wednesday because we haven't had our say on the Sheffield Wednesday game, and obviously it was on Boxing Day, and our programme went out before Boxing Day. It went out on Christmas Eve, so a couple of days after our show went out, we played Sheffield Wednesday away. Good following from the Tigers fans again, as well as last night's, 2 nights ago game against Middlesbrough. And unfortunately, giving the boys Christmas Day off didn't seem to work, James.
No, it was abject from start to finish, wasn't it? I mean, they looked like they'd all put on about 2 stone from their Christmas dinners and was hanging out from their you-know-where. So it was absolutely terrible all game. I mean, even despite the fact we scored 2 goals, I mean, we just looked. Sheffield Wednesday, by looks of it, brought us down to their level, and that's no shame on them because they really did give us a game for it. When I think a lot of us had kind of said this prior to the game that it could easily be a banana skin for us, and that you shouldn't underestimate anyone in the Championship because at the end of the day they are still playing at this level and they've picked up a few points at them this season, even if they are just draws, which us being one of them. But yeah, we had no bite. We couldn't string a pass together. The only sort of shining light in the whole performance I thought was Balumi. And even then, like I say, he scored his goal, and obviously really disappointing to see him coming off holding his hamstring again. But just the way the game goes, I don't know whether or not I couldn't work out whether or not it was actually the other hamstring on his other leg that he was holding rather than the one that he'd originally done. So whether or not that means, I mean, obviously there's been a load of hot air made about it, hasn't there? Because loads of people have been speculating on what his injury is actually going to be and how long it's going to be for. So we'll have to wait to find out. I did hear Baz Cooper say it could be 2 to 3 months. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, I haven't got much more to say on the game, to be honest. It was terrible.
Sergei said in his interview last night, just to give you the heads up on Balumi, it could be a month, it could be 2 months, or it could be 3 months. He's going to see a specialist in London who specialises in this sort of thing. And once he's seen this specialist, they'll have a better idea of what's going on with Balumi. Again, bad loss for Hull City at the moment when we're really struggling with injuries. We'll maybe talk about the injuries a little bit later. But Jan, let's come to you about the Sheffield Wednesday game. It happens every time that they get Christmas Day off, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I know I'll get a load of pelters, but I say it every time, we should not be giving them this extra time off. I'm convinced, and I don't care what anybody says, they either ate too much or drank too much. It was sluggish, it was lethargic, and how many fans? Nearly, 3,500 fans, wasn't it? We all made our way there. And on the way there, my husband said, I can see us messing this up and winning against Borough. And I said, this is stupid. And guess what?
Yeah, it was right. It was right.
Yeah, it was just, all that way there, you give up your Boxing Day. And I know, but I'm not having they deserve a Christmas. If I was paid 30 grand, 10 grand a week, you could have every day of my life for that, I'll tell you. So I'm not having, they deserve it off.
I agree with you, Jan. I don't think I think if you're a footballer, you sign up for for that, Christmas Day, whatever it is, you sign up for it, and ultimately, you know what you're getting yourself into, and for me, I think he should have had him in on Christmas Day, have a meal at the club rather than having the meal at home, because it obviously didn't do him any good. That's my thoughts. What's your thoughts on it, Chris?
On the Christmas Day off thing, just to play devil's advocate, I know normally when they play Saturday, the manager gives them a Wednesday off, so they're in a couple of days, day off, and then a couple of days. But they were in on the 24th, so which was the Wednesday. So all they've technically done is swapped the day offs from the Wednesday to the Thursday. But that doesn't, rule out the argument of what they've eaten or drank. But I still think they should be given Christmas Day off. They generally work 6 days a week anyway. So some may agree, some may not. Like that. So, some people agree, some people don't. That's my thoughts. But the performance, it would suggest that maybe a few of them did have too much to eat or drink, or not get enough rest. Maybe not get enough sleep. It was possibly the worst performance of a full 90 minutes we've seen this season. Worst 45 being the Middlesbrough first half. But yeah, they looked just like I think it was James said, they looked lackluster. They didn't have any sort of intensity in them. And I think my biggest sort of shock or worry was how strong a starting lineup he put out. Because last week we were speaking about, is this the, James called it the low-hanging fruit. Is this one where you can rotate some of these injured players that are just coming back from injury? You can maybe give them a rest and, give other players a bit of game time. And he went really strong and it just didn't work. So, and then you look at the Middlesbrough lineup, no McBurney, Miller coming off the bench. So, and I was thinking it'd be the other way around. I wanted the strong team for Middlesbrough, but, like I say, the Middlesbrough results, obviously, those rotation players, if you like, have done a sterling job there. So, but yeah, Sheffield Wednesday, it could have been a million times better.
Paul, we'll come to you now. Obviously, talking about whether they had too much to eat or drink. Did he play too strong a team against them? What's your thoughts?
Well, I really don't see what having Christmas Day should make a difference to them. The professional footballers, they should, make sure that they're ready for these games on a Boxing Day. They shouldn't overeat. I mean, no, I don't see that wrong with having a day with the families. Some of them's got young children. They want to see them. I don't see that wrong with it. They're professional footballers. They should know what's right and what's wrong, to be quite honest. And if that's the excuse we're going to give for them playing poorly at Sheffield Wednesday, it's a bit bad, really. The stand for Hull City, the professional, that's the job. And they should make sure they do the right thing. And if they haven't done, which I'm not saying they have or they haven't, but if they haven't, it's on them, not on anybody else. It's not on the fact that we give them the day off. As Chris said, we could have given them the Wednesday off, so they could have had Christmas Day on a Wednesday, got it on the Thursday, be lackluster with training. You just don't know. The professional people are supposed to be. So I think it's poor to make that an excuse. I think Sheffield Wednesday played really well. They closed us down well. They made it hard for us. And I don't think they give us a minute in the first 30 minutes to do anything. We played poorly. As they said, we couldn't string passes together. And we just, we got the goal, luckily, before half-time. We could have had a second. I don't know. The Miller goal, should it have been allowed? I've only seen it once. I thought it was a goal, but they said something happened. So I'm not going to argue about it. And I think McBurney could have had a penalty in the first half when I thought somebody pushed him in the back when he went for a header. So despite playing badly, we went going at 1-1. Come out a little bit better second half, but they get the goal again. I thought it was offside. I've only seen it once, so I'm not arguing with anybody who says he wasn't offside. But we get a second goal. I thought Sheffield played pretty well considering the team that they had out. I don't think you can sort of go to these matches and say, well, we played badly because of Christmas Day. You've got to get a bit of credit to this other team. They played quite well, did Sheffield Wednesday. And I've had some other good games. I mean, they played well against Ipswich. Ipswich was just there was deadly in front of goal. So it's not right to say we've gone there, we would have won if they'd have had Christmas Day on the training ground, we would have won. I don't think that's right at all. I mean, Barry Bannon he's been one of the best midfielders in the division for a few years, to be quite honest. I mean, when he came to the MKM last year, he actually ran the game against us. Well, I think they beat us 3-1. He just ran the game. He's a good player, So to say, we should go there and beat them and Christmas Day's cost us the points, I think it's a bit disingenuous to Sheffield Wednesday, to be honest. I think they played well. We didn't play well. And they made that happen. They was on top of us. They had a lot of speed out on the wings first half. They made it hard for us. Coyle had a poor first half. I think all the defence particularly didn't have a brilliant first half. So I just think they played well and, credit to them. Nothing to lose after they've gone down already. As sad as it is, they can't get out of it. I don't think so. I think credit to them, and I don't think Christmas Day had anything to do with it. And if it did, it's bad on our players, to be quite honest.
There you go. That's Paul's sake. A couple of points that he came up with there. I liked a couple of those points, to be quite honest with you. One of them was about the foul on McBurney. One of them was about the goal that was disallowed. What did he see at the disallowed goal, James, just from your point of view?
I believe it was Amir having a bit of a tussle with Barry Bannon in the middle of the box. I think the referee came over and claimed that he'd been holding him in a headlock. So there was a foul committed before the ball was played to Miller. So that's why he called it. He ruled the goal out. So as far as I'm aware, that's what I've seen. And on the McBurney point as well, I've seen that back. He definitely did get a push in the back. So I think you're right. We should have had a penalty and the goal should have stood. I mean, we was completely. I don't know what the word is for. We were just baffled, basically. We had my whole family was there around at my dad's bar and was watching it on the telly, and it's just all of us was asking, like, what has the ref seen there? Why is there no goal? No one could believe it. And lo and behold, I saw the exact same thing all over Twitter with people just, not being able to find a reason as to why that goal hasn't stood. So
I think that wrestling match that you're talking about, it looked like it was more a foul on us than on them, James.
Yeah, it was handbags.
I would say so. Bannon's pulling on Amir's shirt from behind him, and like I said, they're both just all over each other, but neither of them go down. I wouldn't say it's such a soft foul to give for the referee to rule a goal out over. I think he should use his common sense in that situation. I think Bannon's pulled a little bit of a fast one over his eyes.
Yeah, clever guy, Bannon. What's your thoughts on those 2 points, Chris?
The McBurney one, yeah, clear and obvious push in the back. I think the position of the referee means he doesn't see it because he's behind-ish the defender with another body in the way. But I think McBurney's, the way his body moves after the shove, you can see, his upper body's like to an angle to where his feet are. So hope, they're the ones that you're hoping the linesman might interject. The other point, again, I was baffled. I mean, I've only really watched it back once, not studied it, but again, from watching it back, you're looking at it. And I thought it was it Hughes that was around the penalty spot with somebody? There was two people coming together, but again, there wasn't enough in it from what I'd seen to suggest that it was one player over the other. It was very 50-50, but one's trying to, hold the other back, the other's trying to break free, and so I still to now I'm still baffled with the Miller goal.
You was obviously there, Jan. Was it close to you or was it far away?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was a penalty, and I mean, one of their girls at the time it was at the other end, so we didn't see it. But I listened to Sergey, and then John and I watched it, and the guy was blocking for Wayne, or however we say it. So therefore, he was in an offside position, and that shouldn't have stood. I mean, poor old Johnny, he'd gone to get the coffee right at the end of the first half, so he didn't even know we'd scored or hadn't scored, as the case might be.
Fancy sending poor John for the coffee.
No, he always does that. He's a good lad. But if the size of McBurney, to knock him like they did, I just think the last 2 games, those 2 away games, have been all about the referee. And
yeah, I was going to say the same, Jan, to be honest. I was going to talk about Middlesbrough referee because I think I saw some stats, and I think our fouls was 11 and theirs was 10, and we got 4 cards and they got 1 last night. I think that was the stats that I saw.
Were just silly. Yeah,
outrageous.
exactly the same thing last night. And John and I looked at each other and said, he's just booked whatever it is for that. And he didn't book that. It was, I agree with what, I don't know, it was Baz or Sergey was saying. The best refs are the ones that you actually get to the end of the game and you think, oh, I didn't even realise he was there.
Yeah, I think it was all about the referees on the last two games. I agree with you.
That Hayden Hackney shouldn't have been on the field yesterday because he should have been sent off.
I kept shouting that at him, Paul.
He kicked somebody.
Game. Yeah.
So it's a bit bad when we're getting 4 or 5 bookings for not a lot of the time. Just a foul into booking every time. Fair enough, some are, but they're not.
That's how they're playing it now, though, Paul, isn't it?
Well, it is.
They're consistent. They were, and they haven't been.
We got away with it a bit on Saturday with Egan because he did foul their player on the wing. Yeah, could have got a second yellow card. But I say not every foul's a booking. I don't think you've got to play a bit of common sense. I ain't saying it wasn't a booking that one. But he could have got sent off, could Egan? So I think that's why he took him off at half time.
Yeah,
because he thought he's already been booked. He's got away with one, so we'll carry on. So we got a bit of luck there. We didn't get a bit of luck with the McDebarney thing, but at the end of the day, the referees they aren't a particularly good standard at the moment. Or the last 2 we've had aren't a particularly good standard, and it's bad when it's there's a lot of money involved in the Championship if you're getting that Premiership and referees making decisions what could cost you that. I'm not saying it will cost us, but it could cost anybody. They need a better standard of refereeing, I think. I think it's not particularly good a lot of the time. And the last 2 have been really poor.
On the Sheffield Wednesday one as well, I know the manager and the players are at risk of getting fined if they speak out too much against referees. But bear in mind, Sergey has done it in his interview, and then 2 or 3 players have done it in their social medias, have called out the referee from the Sheffield Wednesday game. And you don't see that very often. It shows how bad even they felt it was. For Boxing Day. And Aidan Hackney, I don't know who Middlesbrough played on Boxing Day. I can't remember who it was, but was it Blackburn?
So the knees, didn't it?
Just kicked. He lost possession and just took the opposition player under the knees, literally 15 yards from the referee, and he gives him a yellow. And there was malice. He went for him in that challenge. Yeah. So he should have got a red on Boxing Day and shouldn't have been playing.
Yeah, it's standard referees in the Championship is something we've talked about quite a lot this season because the standard isn't very good. I'm not sure how we change it. It's a discussion for another night, I think, because obviously there's a lot to talk about tonight with 2 away games and 2 upcoming home games to talk about. So, we've talked about it a little bit. We'll come on to it because we've discussed the Sheffield Wednesday game, which is a little bit, dour. They weren't really up for it. Sheffield Wednesday played very well, came out with a point. And I did say before the Sheffield Wednesday game that I could see us getting a point there just because it's that sort of situation. I agree with what John said. You're always thinking to yourself, when they're on such a poor run, they've got a very depleted squad. They've got all the points deducted from them, all these things. Thinking, it's a point or a loss for us all every day of the week because of how things go. But then, in contrast to that, we go on and we play second place Middlesbrough away on a cold Monday night. We start the game quite well. So a good ball by Giles, and then he pulls whatever it is, might be a hamstring, might be just something or nothing, but they weren't really willing to let him carry on and take the risk. And then we lose him. And Firmino, am I saying it right?
Yeah.
We bring on Firmino to replace him.
No, he was already on. We brought on McCarthy
to replace him. Firmino goes into his position, and we end up 1-0 victors. Good night at the office. Come to you first, Paul.
I was a gibbering rep, Adey.
We'll come to you in a minute, John. Let's go to Paul first.
Yeah, I mean, he made a few changes, but I think he's a bit savvy, is Sergio, to be quite honest. I think he's obviously rested McBurney, I don't think he had a lot going for him at Sheffield. He didn't get hardly any decisions going his way. He was buffeted from pillar to post, and he very rarely got a decision. And I think he's probably thought, maybe not rightly, he's probably thought it's going to be a tough game tonight. We possibly will get beat. Do I want to risk the players who've just come back off injury, had a tough game on Saturday? And, I think he's probably been a bit canny, and obviously he's gone a bit more defensive. I think Slater, he's asked him to keep an eye on Hackney, to be quite honest, because every time I saw him with the ball, Slater didn't seem to be too far away from him a lot of the time. And which, when they came here, he had the freedom of the pitch, to be fair, like he ran the show. So I think he's seen that, and he's gone a bit defensive. But, it's worked well. I mean, Joseph did really well for the goal. He's cut it back and, JB's there and slotted it in. I thought Slater had an immense game. He seems to be getting better all the time at the moment, does Slater. And Crooks as well. I mean, I don't know how old he is, Crooks, but I think he's turning back the years a little bit, to be quite honest. He seems to be doing really well at the moment. And I just thought it was a really good team performance. And against the team who are doing well this season, but they didn't really create a great deal against us. I know they had a lot of shots, but there was only 5 on target or something. And one of them, he got a bit of a lucky bounce. We stopped the ball and it bounced to their forward. He probably should have scored, but, Pando's made the save. Another time, I think it was a slip by McCarthy, who I thought after the first 10 or 15 minutes he was on, he had a good game, didn't McCarthy? And I would like to see at the end of the match, when a lot of the players shoved him forward to the supporters to do that 3 thing that they do, and he got shoved there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
I think it's to boost his confidence a little bit. I thought he did really well, to be fair. And I think the whole team I couldn't say anybody had a particularly bad game. Even Palmer, when he come on, he put himself a little bit about, which, I think it surprised people him coming on, to be quite honest. I thought he'd played his last game for City. Maybe that was his last game. I don't know. But even he put himself about a little bit. And I just thought it was a good team performance. Everybody who came on did the best. And, we kept him at arm's length most of the game, to be quite honest. So it was a well-earned 3 points. And to be 2 points off second in the league at this time of the season, you'd have taken that all day long at the beginning of the season, because I think us and Sheffield was the 2 favourites to go down, probably. So,
Yeah.
It was a really good display. Well done, lads, and, long may it continue.
I'm going to come to you in a second, Jan. I'm just going to come back on a couple of your comments. McBurney, when he came on, did really well defensively, but I think he looked tired as soon as he walked on the pitch, if I'm honest with you. I was a little bit like, but he looks really tired already, does Ollie McBurney, but he came on, he did a job. I think Cathal McCarthy, you're right in what you said, Paul. He came on and looked a little bit shaky to start off with, but then he settled down, he grew into the game, and he played really, really well for us, to be honest, and good to have him as backup. We're very low in that area at the moment, but he's really good to have him as backup. And if we need him, then great. I'm sure last night will have done his confidence the world of good. And also Regan Slater, he's just playing out of his skin at the moment. He seems to be passing the ball forward more. And I think that's helped his game because he's passing the ball forward more. We're not getting caught as easily, because if you pass it forward and it's in their half, then you've got a chance to get back even if you do lose the ball. And I think that's working in his favour. So I think Sergei's been coaching him, and you've got to give a lot of credit to Sergei for them sort of things. We've slated him a bit for giving him Christmas Day off, but, you've got to give Sergei a lot of credit. He set us up right last night. He knew what the game was about. He set us up very nice and defensively. And even though we got the injury to Giles, he didn't change it, which I liked. Come to you now, Jan, because you was one of the 3,000 and odd that was there. I would have gone last night, but it's sold out, and I'm always too slow getting tickets.
And you didn't get your ticket in time. So
no, if they sell out quickly, I've had it, because I don't make my mind up early enough.
Yeah, you do. Well, John's just been booking we've decided we are not going there and back to Southampton in a day. So as we speak, he's booking our hotel for Southampton.
Long way to go.
When the team came on, I've learned, would you believe at my ancient age, I've learned it's best to keep your mouth shut rather than make a stupid comment on Twitter that you'll then have to say, well, got it wrong. Because I looked at it, and probably like everybody else, I thought, that's a bit quirky. But I thought, I'm not going to say anything because, how many times, 98, 99 times out of 100, he's called it right, hasn't he? So, and I absolutely agree with you. I thought McBurney looked tired on Boxing Day. So I think it was absolutely the right call yesterday. If you say they've all had a great game, I don't want to be. I am the negative one. I don't think Endala did. I don't care what anybody says. When I kept saying to John, he needs to change it quick. He needs to change it because they really pressed, didn't they, for a bit in that second half. And he's not one for tackling at the best of times. But credit to the bloke. Who are we to question him when he's got it right so many times? I've been having like a light-hearted chat on Twitter today. I just don't get how Panda can't kick the ball straight down the middle. It goes out so many times.
Hey, listen, Janet, you've got to say it's not his game. You know
He's
his
had
game.
20 months.
His game is to play the ball at his feet. He likes to play the ball.
That's why Liam didn't play him. Liam didn't play him because he said he wasn't good at the ball, in the Guardiola game.
He played, and Liam was wrong with that because he plays that game very, very well.
I'm not convinced
he's happy with the ball at his feet. I've seen him get some balls, that have come to his waist height, and he's controlled it and he's played that ball out. So I think he's really good on the ball. I think the long ball isn't his game, to be quite honest with you, and that's just.
But he's had 20 months, Adey. I put on Twitter today, I'm a nana, I'm retired. If he gave me 20 months and told me how to kick a ball straight, I'm sure to God I could do it.
Well, Jan, you've got 20 months from now, and we're looking forward to watching that next year on the 30th of December. There'll be a live to Hull and Back podcast from the field somewhere in West Hull, watching Jan kick that ball 60 yards up the field, and James is going to be stood at the other half. He's going to receive the ball, and he's going to take it down so well you've never seen anything like it in your life.
The same quality coaches that he's got down. Because, I'm not having a go at the guy. I do think he's a good keeper. I don't think he's a great keeper. I think he's a great bloke. But how hard can it be to kick it and it not go out either right or left?
What was last season's half-time game? Crossbar challenge. There you go, Jan.
We'll have a 6'2" number 9
You're not allowed to wear football. Not that I could wear football boots, but you've got to wear normal shoes. That's a con that as well, but that's another debate. But honestly,
Pandor has been saving some great goals. I think he's got back to his best, if I'm honest, Jan, over the last few weeks.
Got back to being good. I absolutely agree with you. So there were people saying he saved some worldies yesterday. He didn't. He saved some shots that you'd expect a good goalkeeper to save. And don't get me wrong, I do like the guy. And I don't think he's going to go. I think all this rumour about somebody coming in is a little bit more quality competition for him, which I think perhaps he needs. But equally, it's worrying that if he is injured, Sergio obviously doesn't think the competition is as good as it needs to be. That will be my thought.
We'll come on to transfers in a little while, and we'll talk a bit more about that in a little while. You've raised a good point, and I'm sure people will either be commenting and be happy, or they might be shouting at the radio at this point. Well, who knows? So who have we right, we'll come to you now, James, about the Middlesbrough game, and you can have your say on it.
Yeah, so just on Panda, I'm going to play devil's advocate here a little bit in the sense of that I do not think Panda is a top-level championship goalkeeper because his distribution lets him down so much. And that's the main point I will agree with Jan on, is that whether he's playing it short or whether he's playing it long, he never looks confident in his balls either way. So I don't really know what you do to remedy that because, as you say, he's been here long enough to sort of work on it. And granted, he is a young goalie, so he's still going to be working on all aspects of his game, and it's probably going to take a bit of time for him to be the goalkeeper we want him to be. But if we want to go to the Premier League, you're going to be wanting to play and develop a keeper like Panda, and I think that's a bit of a bridge too far for him in the Premier League. So at the minute, I think he's the best we're going to get in the situation we're in. But I do agree that better quality competition for him will do him some wonders. Other than that, though, it was really disappointing to see Gilo come off with an injury, which I thought at the time, because he was kind of stood there rumming and ahhing on the sidelines, sort of saying to the physios, "No, I want to play on. I want to play on." It looked like he was kind of trying to say that, anyways. And I think maybe he's felt a bit of cramp or something. He said, "I can run it off," but then obviously they've just decided, well, we're not really going to go out to try and win this game, anyways. So, we'll take you off and we'll bring a defender on for you.
I'll come in at that point, James, just to say that Sergei's interview last night, he said that basically Jallo did want to carry on. He said that he'd felt a bit of cramp in his hamstring, but he'd said after 10 minutes, it's too soon to feel cramp in the hamstring. So they wasn't willing to take the risk, and they're going to get it scanned before they make a decision. So that's just what Sergei said. Carry on.
Yeah, so that was my suspicion, basically, then. That was kind of what the case was. And then another point I caught on with what Jan said is that, well, I mean, I had the Middlesbrough commentators, there was blowing a lot of smoke in Ndala's direction, and I couldn't really understand why. And I've seen people making comments about him having a really good performance as well, which I thought he was busy. He was getting around a lot, but I think one of them referred to him as a nuisance, and I think that's all you could really surmount his performance to, is that he was just being a bit of an annoyance, sort of, at the top end of the pitch, and they were struggling to deal with his pace, but that was about it. I don't think he ever really looked a major direct threat on their goal, given he was one of the two attackers we had on the pitch. So I was quite happy with the subs that was made for us to go more defensive after JB scored his goal, because I mean, I'd been saying for a little while now. I mean, we spoke about it before we started the recording, but after the Wrexham game, I thought JB was hard done by to come out of the team, and like I say, it could definitely be a fitness problem of why he's been rotating him and Amir, because I think you said earlier, Chris, as well, that he never seems to play the two of them on the pitch at the same time, barring Borough, when obviously we're kind of up against the caution trying to defend our box for 80 minutes of the game. I mean, I've absolutely got no problem with having the extra midfielder on there anyways. So, but yeah, I thought it was a really, really solid performance from the whole team. I've seen some ridiculous stats. I think I'd seen something like Middlesbrough had 41 crosses into our box, and only one of them was successful, which is absolutely mental. So a lot of their fans aren't very happy with seemingly the lack of clinical edge in the final third, considering the players have got at their disposal. But not only that, we must be the worst football team in the history of the human race, according to basically every other team in the Championship, the way that we get spoken about. Because I mean, if the fact we've got winning games ugly in our locker, which it's not the first time we've done that, because I think when Sheffield United came to the MKM as well, it was a bit like that, where we knew they was going to have quite a lot of the ball, we knew he was going to have a lot of shots on our goal. So, we nicked the game, got a goal, and just held them at arm's length, basically. I never really thought, other than a couple of times, I think they had that Morris who made a couple of really good runs into our box, and it got brought up early where McCarthy actually slipped over, and I thought that was one of them sort of hand in mouth moments that did happen in the second half. But no, at the end of the day, if one of the top teams in the Championship, we're not, we've just been hammered by him at home on the reverse fixture. Yeah. And I'd like to think Sergei said to the lads, that is not happening again. We're not gonna play them at their game, basically. We're not gonna play our game, we're not gonna play open, because we made that mistake already, and it's clear they've got too much quality for us, and they'll just outplay us. So I think he got it tactically spot on, to be honest. That was exactly what we need to go there and do, which was just nick the game. So
the worst team in the Championship, currently on the best run in the Championship. We are top of the form table on the Championship at the moment. We've won 4 of the last 5 games, and we're the only team in the Championship to have done that. So, yeah, absolutely rubbish we are. We're on form, though, so that's all right. Who have I not spoke to yet? Was it you, Chris?
It is I, yes.
Yes, thought it was. Carry on, Chris.
I don't think there's much more to say, really. I agree with everybody else's thoughts. It was not a pretty game of football, but it was very workmanlike, and the defensive effort, concentration. I haven't seen the stats. It's got to be about 65-70% possession to Middlesbrough.
At least
71.
So yeah, it wasn't a pretty game. And James kind of alluded to the other point I was going to make, where I think it was tactical by the manager, but in most of our other games, he does try and play a bit more possession. He likes to, like open up a bit, try and play football. And last night, I think you're right, James, it was probably a case of we know what they can do because it happened a month ago. We nipped that in a butt. So instead of that 4-2-3-1, he's played the 5-4-1 or the 3-5-2, whatever you want to call it. He's crowded the defensive line out of possession. He's packed the midfield and just said, I think maybe that it was let's see what we can do. Because for the first 10 or 15 minutes, it was a fairly open game. But once we got that goal, I think that was the plan. If we get a goal, let's just protect it and, flip the table from a month ago. So, yeah, not much more to say on it. Like the main standout performer for me by a country mile was Slater. He was amazing. He was all over the pitch in the middle and showed his versatility when he dropped in at right back. And I agree with the other point that McBurney looked tired, etc. And Darla probably had his worst performance for us. And, it seems to be all cameos for him now, doesn't it? But, not much more else to say.
We'll come back to a few of those things in a moment. I'll say that, I thought that Joseph did well to take the ball to the bar line, keep it in, to put JB through for his goal. I thought he did really well there. Work rate is really good. Is Joseph, obviously, and I think, you need him on for his work rate because ultimately you're not going to get that work rate out of any of the other attackers. I was surprised when McBurney came on. I thought that he might have brought Destin on instead. But McBurney did do some really good defensive work when he came on and did some really good defensive headers to help keep us in the game. I was surprised that obviously Palmer came on. What you said, Paul, might be right. It could have been the last game for us because ultimately we've got the January transfer window. As you're watching, it'll be opening up tomorrow and it'll be interesting to see if we can do anything. I did go on the To Hull and Back Discord page. I don't know how I got on there, and I got in there. I don't know how I did it, but I'm on there anyway, just to let you know I'm on there. And I said that, I asked a question last night because a question was put on the group. It was not put to Sergey on the interview, and I was a little bit sort of gutted that it didn't come out in the interview. That Cody Drame, I asked, is he still injured? And Becky, who sometimes comes on the pod, said that, yes, he's still got a slight injury there. And I just put, there's a lot of talk of him going, and Charlton, Millwall and Preston, all interested parties in Cody Drame. I all got interested parties in Cody Drame if he's injured, Jan.
Well, he was on the bench yesterday, so he can't be that injured.
He wasn't. Because I checked that. No, I checked that before I put the comment on because I thought I don't want to look like an idiot saying, is he injured when he's on the bench? But no, he wasn't. On the bench last night, it was Phillips, Miller, McBurney, Akintola, Amia, Destan, Ashby, Palmer and McCarthy. That was the bench from last night. So no drama.
I mean, my thing on him is he's had so many chances. And it comes on, and sometimes you think, oh my God, why haven't we been playing it? And then the next minute or the next game, you think, oh, that's why we haven't been playing him. I just think he's wholly inconsistent. And if he wants game time, he's not going to get regular game time here, is he? So it might be best just for everybody for him to move on. But I'm not having that, there's been a lot on Twitter today that he's better than Coyle. He's not. Going back to Grant, to Schotter, to even that numpty bloke from Germany, and none of them have put him, or since he came in, sorry, because that's not fair. But Coyle has played consistently. And even though we've had alternatives, he's never been put on there. He delivers and you think, great. And then the next game you think, well, you didn't play like that, last time. So no, not for me. If he wants to go, he can go. And he
is very inconsistent, as Chan just said. To be quite honest, he has one good game, couple of not so good games, and he's never going to take over from Coyle or Giles. So I don't, it depends if the lad wants to go. I think if he wants to go,
injury situation though, Paul. The injury situation. If he's injured, not him. With our injury situation and the players that we've got injured at the moment, is it the time to be letting somebody like Drame go?
I don't know. It's really sad because obviously the January transfer window's opening up. So if we wanted to get another full back, left or right or what have you, we've got options if we get rid of him. If we can't get somebody better than him, well, obviously keep him. I don't know. Is there going to be a fee for him? Is he going? I don't really know. I wouldn't particularly throw him under the bus to get rid of him straight away. I would see how things are going, because we are a bit short on the full-back senses, aren't we? Got nobody to cover for Coyle now, because
let me talk to you about our fullbacks, because at the moment in the fullback position we've got Williams, we've got Drame, we've got Fairlong. They're all our players. So when you say we're short at fullback,
yeah, but Williams there must be something wrong with the Williams situation. I mean, he's supposed.
I'm not saying they're in. I'm just telling you who we've got.
What I'm saying. You've got to look at what we've got, and obviously Williams. There's something wrong there. He's been here for months, and he hasn't got up to fitness or whatever. I don't think he's hardly played a game. I think he's come on a couple of times as sub.
He's played for the academy.
Fairlong. I thought he was out on loan at one stage. So he's not got a chance. So we really need somebody. So I wouldn't get rid of Drame straight away. I would see if he's injured, then obviously who's going to come in for him? Are you going to take a risk on him not being injured? Like, I don't know. It's a funny situation. I think we do need a little bit more cover in the fullback. I would get rid of Williams. I don't think, at the time, he's been here months. He was at Man United. So there's something wrong there, isn't there, that they haven't played him. He hasn't forced his way into the team. I don't understand why.
Right, come to you now. That's enough, Paul. Come to you now, Chris. We've also just received Matty Jacob back as well as backup. Your thoughts, Chris?
Well, Matty Jacobs come back because he's injured, isn't he, from his loan at Reading? So
apparently, well, no, I don't think he is. But carry on.
That's what I've heard on the old media. Anyway, Matty Jacobs, even if he's injured, he's not going to be fit for a while. Drame, sorry, Jan, I like him. If you cast your mind back, 5-6 months ago, pre-season, when Coyle was injured, we was all singing his praises, how good he was. And I think that's what he's been lacking. He's not, as soon as Coyle was back, he was thrown straight back in there. So we talk about him not being able to give us consistency. The club have not given him any consistent minutes. So I actually rate him. Before we signed him, he was in, if I'm not mistaken, the Luton team that got promoted. I think he's a good technical player, and I rate him more than Coyle. What Coyle brings more than Drame is the fact that he's a whole lad and he will run through a brick wall for you. You can never doubt Coyle's work rate and intensity.
So they're both fit. Chris, you're playing Drame.
I'm 50-50 because I think he's a better technical player, but Coyle has got the work rate and the desire. So, and they're obviously separate attributes to skill set and technique.
So Coyle's crossed for the goal, was it 2 games ago? Absolutely outstanding cross. You don't see Drame do them.
Well, you just talk. You're
saying about the technical ability. That's all. So that's what I'm just playing devil's advocate.
And we've seen Drame put crosses in too. So
he created the goal on the zone against Watford.
Yeah.
But in that somebody produced one of those like quartile diagrams, and Coyle was in like the top left, so the best crosses, most accurate. I get that he's got stop the cross. It's easy to say that, isn't it? But it's harder to do it on the pitch. But he was in that top left-hand box for crosses and leading to success and that kind of stuff. Drame is not injured according to the current situation. He just wasn't in the squad yesterday, which does lead you to think that maybe he's on his way.
It certainly does. So just a couple of others before we come across to you, James. Williams, Fairlong. Talk about them for me, Chris, quickly.
They can both go.
That was easy. Thanks, Chris, for making my life easy there. You didn't talk for very long on that. James, your go of Drame, Fairlong, Williams, and Matty Jacob. Off you go.
Yeah, Adey, Fairlong and Williams are already sort of heading on the way out anyway. So, yeah, we've not seen either of them. Agree with Chris, get rid of them, fan. Free up the wages on the wage book. Drame, I think... One of the things we've highlighted this season when we've been playing our sort of fullbacks as wing backs and sometimes just leaving the 2 centre halves and maybe a midfielder to protect our box is that we seem to leave a lot of space in between the midfield and the defence, and that's usually because both Coyle and Giles are pushing on too high up the pitch. And I think one of the main things you get with Coyle, which you don't get with Drame, is that sometimes when you do get caught out in those situations, I seem to think Coyle is better at recovering than what Drame is. I think Drame maybe has edges him on pace because Coyle seems to he's not as quick as I think I once remember him, maybe a couple of seasons ago. But what you get out of him defensively, I think Drame's just let us down too many times, and I've seen too many mistakes from him, and that all boils down to not just necessarily the inconsistency of game time, but I think whenever he has been given his chance, he's never nailed down the shirt. And if the manager was so impressed by his performances before Coyle came back into the team recovering from his injury, I don't know why he couldn't have made that shirt his own. I mean, obviously you can make the argument Coyle's the captain, so of course he's going to come back into the team. But if that's the case, and Drame is not happy as being the second string, backup right back, then fine, let him go. I imagine he's probably on a decent bit of wages since he was a free transfer, and I think usually when you bring someone in for free, you can give them a little bit more money to entice them to the club a bit better. So I'd be quite happy for him to go out if we can bring someone reliable in that can just be the understudy to Coyle if we ever need him to be there. And then just finishing on Matty Jacob, I think we've seen enough of him to know he can be okay when you're desperately in need of a full back, but I don't think he's up to the level. And from what I've seen about his time at Reading as well, they also don't seem to think much of him either. So it's disappointing because I think when he first started coming through into the team under a senior, I really liked him as a player. I thought he could do a job for us, but ever since then, I've just never really seen it from him again. So I think I'd be quite happy for him to be replaced as well. I don't think he's good enough.
Going on then to tomorrow's game, as it will be, New Year's Day at home against Stoke City. I think, looking at the league table, everybody would be saying, well, Hull should be winning this, but they are only, 7 points behind us in 10th position. We've got an awful lot of injuries. Who knows what the squad will be and what the team will be for this game. Sergei's got that bad headache, Paul, of who does he pick for this game because he ain't got a lot of players to choose from.
No, well, it's not a good situation to be in, but it's quite, as I say, I think he's a canny manager. He'll have a look at how they've recovered after the last game, because it was a tough game at Middlesbrough, wasn't it? And he probably brought people on. I mean, Miller, he did a sterling job on that left-hand side, I thought, when he came on.
I agree.
He got back and he went, went up as well. So it depends how they've recovered, how he sees the game. Let's face it, most of these teams in the Championship this year are much of a muchness. They're all, decent teams on the day who can turn anybody over just about. It won't be an easy game against Stoke. I mean, at the beginning of the season, there was absolutely flying, weren't they? I think there was second or something like that. So they've dropped off a bit recently, but it doesn't mean to say they're a bad team. I just think it's that type of Championship this year that there's a lot of teams round about the same sort of level, and it's who turns up on the day a lot of the time. And obviously what team you've got available to you. But he'll have a hard job because obviously we've got a lot of injuries. Hopefully Giles is okay, but I don't think he'll be playing against Stoke, to be honest. If they're looking for a scan, they'll want to see what is the problem there. So they're going to have to sort that out for a start off. McBurney, as you say, looks a little bit tired. Whether he's 100% after he's only just come back after his injury, hasn't he? So, they might put Joseph up front again or give Destan a run out. I don't know. Put Joseph wide or something. He's got a lot of options, but, they're maybe not the players in the position he wants. But they do a decent job, and they did well against Middlesbrough, so there's nothing to say we can't do well against Stoke. But I think it'll be a tough game. It's not a gimme. So I just hopefully we can get some out of it, at least a point, preferably 3. But, it'll be a tough game. That's all I think.
Couple of things that I'll come back on there for you, Paul, is would you say he'd keep the same formation as he played Middlesbrough?
I'd like to think he went a little bit more forward thinking, to be quite honest, at home. But I don't think Stoke are quite as good as Middlesbrough, and we are at home. So I would like to think he'd go a bit more forward thinking. Depends on the Giles thing, because who covers for Giles if he's not there? You don't want Miller covering that position, do you, necessarily? So does he play 3 at the back and give McCarthy another game with?
Just goes to show how much we're thinking about all of these other fullbacks that we've just talked about when you're saying that do you go 3 at the back and do it that way rather than saying one of those others could come in and do a job. So, yeah, I get what you're saying, Paul. Other thing is, you said about the win, you'd be happy with the draw because, you know, at the moment, sitting on 41 points, I'll come to one of your things that you say regularly, Paul, on the show. You're only 9 points off safety at the moment. So another point, 42 points, you'd be 8 points off safety. Would you be happy at that?
Yeah, I'm happy with the season. I'm really happy with the season. I still think we've got a chance of finishing in the top 6. And after last night, and, you know, if somebody loses a bit of form, well, you know, these top 2s, you know, the second position's begging at the moment, isn't it? Sort of thing, 2 points behind them. If we'd have beat Sheffield Wednesday, would have been level. It's unbelievable this season. I just can't get my head around it, to be quite honest. Well, we're doing so well, but long may it continue. That's all I can say.
Tough game against Stoke, Jan. You know, they're a tough team to play against. They're not doing badly this season by any stretch of the imagination. You know, we've won 12 games. They've won 10 games. There's not a lot in it, is there?
No, but I mean, going back to your discussions about the transfers, if John May goes, and I play Coyle anyway, but if he gets injured, we saw yesterday, Slater can fill in there. At the left back, I know it's not his favourite position, but that's where Miller played, wasn't it, for Preston? So we've got a bit of cover there. I think we need to be going out to win this. I'll get my prayer mat out that Gilo's okay, because he, you know, is just a new person, isn't he, this year?
Well, I saw the stat. He's the only player that started every game this season. I think Pandora will be there as well, won't he? But the only outfield player that started every game this season.
And if you think, I know we're going to have to manage him, but Mataz will be back within a month or so, which means that if you had to drop Slater back a bit, you could do. But, I mean, I've got a brand new T-shirt. I was showing it to John this morning. I've not worn it yet. You know, the Dare to Dream logo and all.
Oh, yes. And
I got it out. I said to him, look, you know, and maybe we can, you know, maybe we can do it. You know, it's the same. A lot of things are very similar to that 2008 year, aren't they? And
well, I think we're just a game now over the halfway point.
Yeah,
so, you know.
we weren't doing that great in that season, but then it turned around, didn't it? But I just think if we can keep going and we can keep believing, I just really, really, really wish we could recreate the away atmosphere at home. It was phenomenal last night. Yeah. I mean, it was absolutely.
You could hear it all on the TV. Yeah. It was really, really, really good. Hoping for a win, Jan. Come to you now, Chris, because I know James has just muted his mic because the dog's barking. So we'll come to James last, and that'll save him unmuting his mic for a second. But let's see what your thoughts are, Chris.
Well, I think, like Jan said, it all depends on the position with Gilo. If he's fit, you would probably go back to the 4-2-3-1. If he's not, that's when you're rotating. I think you'd probably go a similar formation as we did at Middlesbrough, simply because where we've got the fittest players is midfield and centre back. So you'd maybe go to that.
Possibly Lundstrom back for this one, is it?
I think that's what there was rumoured. It all depends on how much he gets on the grass this week. If he is, he's probably going to be coming off the bench, isn't he? He's been out for a lot longer.
Just to let you know, we are recording this on the Tuesday night, so we've not seen the press conference on the Wednesday.
No. So if Gilo isn't fit, I think you've got Vermeer or Miller that you could play as a wing back. I wouldn't want to see playing a back 4 with Miller as a left back. I just think we know he can do it. You've already alluded to he did it at Preston, but it's just taking away strengths. You know, even though Gilo bombs on, it's as and when the opportunity arises. But I think having Miller like further forward, actually, towards that halfway line as an outlet and not utilising his pace and his attacking threat is where he's best. So maybe it's a back 3 with. I don't mind Miller as a wing back, but not as a full back. Akintola's, I know we've got past the transfer window thing. He's one that I'd be happy to let go. I wouldn't want to see him as an outright right winger. and I know the rest of you are happy for him to go, but if both him and Coyle and Drame are fit, Drame's played right wing before, so I'd sooner maybe have Coyle at right back and Drame in front of him if you're doing a four, well, with wingers. So he's got options. It depends who's fit. Ultimately, just want to keep that form going and keep collecting points.
James, you haven't got very long, unfortunately, because we're running out of time. So give me a quick rundown on this, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah, everyone's covered it pretty much. I think I would keep it pretty similar to Middlesbrough, like I say, with the players we've got available. Play it defensively. Stoke tend to always beat us on the reverse fixture when we beat them at the Bet365. So yeah, just keep it similar to where we played it. Try and carry on the form. Let's keep the unbeaten run going, and I think we'll be grand.
So we've got a hard game against Watford on Sunday as well. We're going to talk about that on Tiger Talk next Wednesday, where we'll be live. We'll honestly, we'll be live next Wednesday from 7:00. Thanks to you for tonight, James.
Thank you, Adey.
Thanks to you, Chris.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Jan.
Cheers, everybody.
And thanks to you, Paul, and Happy New Year to everybody as well.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Pleasure. Thank
Happy
you very
New Year.
much.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Bye.